Dear learners, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Prashant Gautam from University Institute of Hotel and Tourism Management, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today, we are going to study the module titled National Tourism Policy 1982 under the paper Tourism Planning and Sustainable Development. The learning objectives of this module are to know the meaning and conception of policy, to understand the need for formulation of tourism policy, to know why policies are made, to know about the various initiatives of government to form tourism policy, to get aware about various sectors included in the policy for tourism development. This module makes a short review of the recommendations of the assorted committee, plans and policies on business enterprise of the Union Government. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of independent India, was the person to notice the importance of tourism in the country. According to him, it was not only an instrument of earning foreign exchange, but also a means of seeking international cooperation, understanding and peace between the nations. Tourism, as an economic term in India, was emerged only after second five-year plan, that's 1956. Originally, the emphasis was on pilgrimage and VFR, visiting friends and relatives. If we talk about tourism in India, but when ITDC, India Tourism Development Corporation, was formed in October 1966, then it was realized that apart from pilgrimage and BFR, the holiday concept of the destination should also be developed. The basic objective of ITDC was not only to develop tourism in India, but also to give proper consultancy services. ITDC played a pivotal role in development, promotion and progression of tourism in India. It has been running a large number of hotels and restaurants in different parts of India. Not only this, the institution have also been able to play many other roles such as providing transportation, entertainment, shopping and other services like production, distribution and selling of publicity literature on tourism. Currently, ITDC has chain of 8 5-star Ashoka group of hotels, 5 hotels in joint venture, 1 restaurant, 11 units for transportation, 9 duty-free shops at airports, and running sound and light shows at Purana Killa and Red Fort at New Delhi. In the year 1982, the Government of India launched the National Tourism Policy, having 6-point agenda for development of tourism in India. These 6 aspects were Swagat, Suchna, Suvidha, Suraksha, Sahyog and Sarachna, which means welcome, information, facilitation, safety, cooperation and infrastructure development. The basic purpose of this tourism policy was to do socio-economic development in a balanced way, to support and preserve the outstanding heritage and culture of India. The policy also laid down emphasis on creating livelihood and employment opportunities. Based on the National Tourism Policy 1982, Government launched several initiatives. These initiatives included creation of National Committee on Tourism in 1988, setting up of Tourism Finance Corporation in 1989, and to provide investments to tourism projects. Initially, going on a pilgrimage or visiting the friends and relatives was meant to be tourism in India. It was only after October 1966 when India Tourism Development Corporation was set up and India was being promoted as a tourist destination, not only for pilgrimage or visiting friends and relatives, but also as a holiday destination. The main objective of ITDC was rendering proper consultancy services and promoting tourism in India for developmental purpose, meaning and concept of policy. The term policy is a highly flexible and not a tightly demarcated concept. It has been explained differently on different instances. It may be defined as a scheme of action selected by some regime, establishment, group or individual from amongst alternatives and in the present context to guide and usually to determine current and forthcoming decisions. It is a predictable agenda containing of anticipated goals and the resources to attain them, as they are formed to achieve certain set of goals or objectives by any organization, whether public or private. Proper policy formulation helps to increase the rate of success and further help in achieving the desired goals. Policies are made to smooth functioning of any organization. Process of policy formulation. The various stages of policy formulations are as problem identification. The first and the foremost step is the identification of problem for which a particular policy has to be designed or formed. Second, policy formulation. Policy formation is the improvement of effective and suitable courses of action for addressing what has been placed on the policy program, or in other words, designing a blueprint for a needful course of action for a specific problem. Third, policy adoption. In this step, the policy designed in the earlier stage is adopted with the motive of solving the problem. 4. Policy implementation. After adoption of the policy, it has to be seen whether the policy actually implemented on the ground has been able to solve or overcome the problem. 5. Policy evaluation. Policy evaluation is conducted for testing the effects of the policies of respective departments and for assessing the policies in terms of requirement, competence, strength, etc. to improve the development and execution process. Dear learners, let's now discuss about National Tourism Policy 1982. The tourism policy taken earlier to 1982 were not very effective in dealing with tourism, as India was going to host the Asian Games in 1982. Hence, some effective steps needed to be taken to accommodate, transport and entertain the outsized visitors which would visit the country in order to witness this huge event. So, there was a tourism opportunity which could not be ignored and could lead to development of this sector and surely lead a significant foreign currency earning opportunity. Hence, the 1982 policy was framed so that it could lead to growth of tourism circuits. A tourist circuit comprises of a number of tourist wonders, which are topographically or geographically and or according to the theme congregated together with the notion that the worth of their sum is more than visiting them individually. Rather than being the consequences of an in-depth analysis and marketing study, the circuit idea was instinctive out of the sensation that the Golden Triangle destinations, Delhi, Jaipur, Agra, and the Bombay-Goa, the shopping and beach circuit, were exceptionally oversold. In order to lure away the tourists from these overloaded circuits into the myriad of other possibly popular destinations in India. This concept of tourism was alternative form of tourism. The notion of alternative circuits rather than alternative places that could be assembled together by tourists themselves was somehow thought imperative. The abstract ideas behind the tourist destination circuits in 1980s were unusually same as put in the recent tourism policy. The concept of rural tourism has been part of the new tourism policy as it was seen as a tool for socio-economic development and to establish condominium hotels, for example, hotels in areas which are underdeveloped and located in remote locations. Hence, the contels, along with development of tourism infrastructure, had to be done by the government. It then auctions plots by functions. There, a hairdresser, a health club, a restaurant around that corner, a grocer, a drugstore, confectionery shop, etc. Accommodation in the contel ranges from hospices, each with a single table, daute restaurant, to inns with no restaurant but with 24-hour snack bar or coffee shops, and to lodges offering accommodation only but situated close to an independent restaurant. Contels were to be accomplished as a cooperative undertaking, an essential part of village life, using local resources and giving the visitors an equilibrium of rustic charisma and elementary coziness. To the level we know that no rural tourism circuit and contel were established. All the above notions might sound agreeable, but in retrospect, one can only conclude that they suppose a fair quantity of innocence on the part of the policymakers. Tourism policy of the ministry was presented for the first time in both houses of parliament on November 3, 1982. The policy statement contained 5 main objectives of the tourism policy of the Government of India. The government objectives were to develop tourism so that it becomes a unifying force nationally and internationally, fostering better understanding amongst the people of the world through travel. The policy focused on making tourism as a unifying force both at national and international level in order to increase or create better understanding amongst the various people from different communities, different culture and different nationalities, so that this understanding can help in motivating people to travel to our country with the motive of understanding different culture and heritage, lifestyle, food, wildlife, etc. It helps to preserve, retain and enrich the country's worldview and lifestyle, its cultural expression and heritage in all their manifestations. The prosperity that tourism brings must cause accretion and strength rather than damage to the social and cultural values and depletion of the country's natural resources. The policy focused on changing the world's view towards India as a tourist destination and lifestyle of people in India. Their culture and customs and also the rich and grand heritage of the country in all possible ways. Tourism should bring prosperity and help in strengthening the economy in terms of the social and cultural values of the locals or the host community instead of damaging the cultural and social values of the host communities. And tourism should also make use of country's natural resources to the fullest instead of depleting the available natural resources of the country, keeping in mind the full utilization and sustainability of the available resources. In tourism, India must present itself on its own term at the global level, not as an echo or imitation of other countries, other culture and lifestyles. India as a unique and rich tourist destination with a large diversity in its geographical features, rich culture and customs, grand heritage, enormous flora and fauna, and a large variety of tourism products should present itself as a round-the-year destination in its unique and grand style, apart from other cultures and lifestyles, which would help to create a strong image globally and further increase or attract a large number of international tourists and help in earning foreign exchange, and in later phase would help in tourism development. It brings socio-economic benefits to the community and the state in terms of employment opportunities, income generation, revenue generations for the states, foreign exchange earnings, and in general causes human habitat improvement. Tourism should bring socio-economic assistances to the local community and various states in terms of employment opportunities, income generations for the host communities, which would help in increasing the disposable income and improve the living standards and quality of life of the local community. It can also play a crucial role in generating revenues for the states and also help in creating foreign exchange reserves for the countries with low socio-economic development. Thus benefits the society in terms of poverty alleviation, improvement in health, education, and generating employment. In general, we can say that tourism can help in improvement of human habitat in the country. It gives a direction and opportunity to the youth of the country both through international and domestic tourism to understand the aspirations and viewpoints of others and thus to bring about a greater national integration and cohesion. Increase in movement or flow of international tourists in the country can help the youth of country to understand the different culture and customs, lifestyle, eating habit, etc. of different communities around the world. Due to large diversity in the country, even the movement of domestic tourists within the country can also help in understanding the various cultures, customs and traditions, way of living and eating habits of various communities in the country. This would help To understand the different aspirations and viewpoint of different communities around the world, and thus would help in bringing a feeling of brotherhood, cohesion, and national integration among us the young minds of the country. It offers opportunities to the youth of the country not only for employment but also for taking up activities of nation building character like sports, adventure, etc., and for the molding of the youth of country. Tourism plays a crucial role in not only generating employment opportunities to the youth of country but also motivating or encouraging younger generation to opt or take up activities like sports, adventure, which not only helps in building national character but also help in creating development of the nation. And by presenting India on a global platform may also help in marketing and promotion of India as a major tourist destination in the world. Tourism can also be a strong force for the molding the youth of the country to come together and help in nation building in every aspect. Helps preserving Indian heritage and culture and projecting the same to the world. Through tourism, the Indian heritage and the rich culture can be preserved and sustained for longer period of time. It further can be used as a USP, unique selling proposition, for projecting or showcasing it to the rest of the world through various publicizing and advertising activities. The policy statement states that high priority would be accorded to the development of international tourism and growing attention to foster regional tourism. Due highlighting is given to the development of culture tourism and efforts to provide adequate tourist facilities at major cultural centers in a planned manner in coordination with other agencies. Another attention given was to develop backward areas having ancient monuments, natural scenery, festivals and local arts, etc. The efforts were also made to construct youth hostels to facilitate the movement of youth from different parts of India and abroad. To achieve the objectives of the National Tourism Policy 1982, selected tourism circuit approach would be followed. This will result in improving and upgradation of the facilities and infrastructure at the desired locations. Further, the marketing strategy would further expose and augment the explored markets and result in the expansion of tourist traffic from West Asia and North African countries. The policy document also lays emphasis on developing Buddhist destinations and centers to attract the Buddhist tourists from the Far East and South Asia, as the culture and natural heritage creates the major tourism resource of the country. The need is also to keep a sensible balance between conservation and development. This necessitates the need of educating the people in appreciating their rich heritage and provoking cooperation in preserving and protecting it. The policy statement also stresses the need for coordination among the numerous public-private sector undertakings. International tourism will be mostly the responsibility of central sector, where the center would play a coordinating role and supplement the state effort wherever required. The combined effort will be focused towards completing a comprehensive, well-rounded and integrated development, allowing the tourism to make a positive and effective input to the economic growth of the country. It also emphasizes that for private partnership, enough incentives would be passed to it so that it plays an active role in the development and promotion of tourism. Dear learners, let's summarize the module. The National Tourism Policy 1982 discusses about the various recommendations and suggestions for the development of tourism industry and talks about how tourism can help in the development of the nation. The development would be in terms of both social and economic aspects, where the tourism industry would create employment, encourage more job opportunities, income distribution, and revenue generation for different states and the country as a whole. And how countries' available cultural and natural resources could be used as a tourism product to encourage or attract more international tourists' arrival in the country. Tourism also helps in conservation and preservation of culture, customs, heritage, art, and the craft of the country, etc. Through tourism, the culture and art could be used as a tool for promotion and marketing India as a leading tourist destination. The policy also talks about how tourism could generate benefits for the country like foreign exchange earnings, tax collections, both the direct taxes as well as indirect taxes, livelihood opportunities, donation and funds for preservation and conservation activities, creation of national integrity and solidarity, which as a whole would help in socio-economic development of the nation. Thanks.